The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are.
Carl Jung.
These words hold more weight than we often realize. Imagine, just for a moment, the quiet yet unstoppable power of a woman who fully embraces who she is, without masks, without apology, without bending to what the world expects of her. That kind of presence is not loud or desperate for attention. It radiates naturally, like light from a flame that cannot be hidden. True confidence, as Jung understood it, does not come from pretending to be strong, nor from achieving perfection in the eyes of others, but from an inner alignment, a woman standing firmly in her own truth, unshaken by comparison, unbroken by doubt. We live in a time where confidence is often portrayed as a performance, a series of poses, affirmations, or surface-level achievements. Yet Jung's psychology takes us deeper. He reminds us that confidence is born when identity is rooted in authenticity, when the self is no longer split between who we really are and who we think we should be. That is the secret, the unspoken thread that ties every truly confident woman together. They have faced themselves, accepted their shadow, and chosen to live from the core of their being. And this is exactly what Carl Jung believed about the psychology of confidence and identity. And today, we're diving into the secret that all confident women share. So, if this resonates with you, if you want to keep exploring insights like these and grow alongside this community, make sure you subscribe. It's the best way to stay connected to the conversations that truly matter. At the heart of Carl Jung's psychology lies a truth that feels almost uncomfortable in its simplicity. Real confidence doesn't come from being flawless, fearless, or admired by others. It comes from self-knowledge. This idea can feel counterintuitive in a world that teaches us to measure confidence by external signs, by how loud someone speaks, how certain they sound, how many accomplishments they can list. But Jung insisted that none of that touches the essence of true inner strength. He believed that identity, the deep and often hidden sense of who we really are, is the bedrock of psychological power. And for women especially, who are often pressured to adapt, to please, or to fit roles assigned by society, this insight carries a profound weight. A confident woman is not a woman without fear. She is not a woman who never doubts herself. Instead, she is a woman who has turned inward, who has looked honestly at her own inner world and decided to embrace what she finds there. Jung called this process confronting the shadow. The parts of ourselves we would rather hide, the insecurities, the vulnerabilities, the impulses we fear might make us unworthy. Most people spend their entire lives running from these shadows, covering them with layers of performance and social masks. But the women who radiate true confidence are those who have stopped running. They have sat with the discomfort, acknowledged their imperfections, and recognized that their flaws do not disqualify them from worthiness. They simply make them whole. Jung's genius was in pointing out that confidence is not the absence of struggle, it is the integration of struggle into identity. And that is what makes it so unshakable. Think about it. When you no longer fear your own weakness, when you no longer hide from your own doubt, what could anyone take from you? This is the deep foundation of confidence that cannot be faked. It is also why Jung encouraged practices of reflection, because without deliberate moments of silence and honesty, we remain strangers to ourselves. If you want to cultivate this kind of confidence, you need to create space to listen to your own psyche. Take a journal and begin asking yourself uncomfortable but liberating questions. Who am I when no one is watching? What do I truly want beyond the expectations placed on me? Which fears do I keep pretending I don't feel? And what might happen if I face them directly? Writing these thoughts down is not about producing beautiful words. It is about allowing what has been buried to surface, and realizing that even the parts of you that feel unpolished or fragile are part of your strength. Over time, this self-dialogue builds a quiet inner authority, a sense of grounding that no compliment or criticism can shake. Women who practice this aren't necessarily louder, bolder, or more socially dominant. They simply move through the world with a kind of ease, because they are not at war with themselves. And that is why people feel their presence so strongly. Jung was clear. The path to becoming truly yourself is the privilege of a lifetime. And with that comes a form of confidence that doesn't need to be performed because it is lived. If the first step toward confidence is self-knowledge, then the second is learning how to carry that knowledge into the way you live each day. Awareness without action can become another trap. Knowing yourself deeply but still hiding, still shrinking, still living through masks. Jung was clear that authenticity is not a thought experiment. It is a way of being, expressed in choices, behaviors, and even in the small ways we move through the world. A truly confident woman is not chasing perfection. She is not sculpting an image designed to impress others. She is living in alignment with her genuine self. That alignment gives her a kind of energy that doesn't need to be forced. It gives her a presence that feels magnetic because it is real. And in practical terms, this shows up in several ways. The first is the ability to stop comparing. Comparison is one of the most corrosive forces against confidence, because the moment you measure your worth against someone else's path, you lose touch with your own. A woman grounded in her identity doesn't need to be better than anyone else. She simply needs to be fully herself. That release from comparison doesn't mean she never admires others. It means she can admire without envy and pursue her own growth without shame. The second practical marker of confidence is the strength to set boundaries. Jung understood that to live authentically, you must learn when to say no. And for many women conditioned to please or to soften their edges for others, this becomes the hardest but most liberating act. Boundaries are not walls to shut people out. They are lines of clarity that preserve your energy and protect your values. When a confident woman says no, she is not being harsh. She is affirming the worth of her time, her energy, and her priorities. That ability to set limits gives her a sense of freedom and self-respect that is visible to everyone around her. The third element is the embrace of small, consistent steps. Confidence is not built through grand gestures or sudden transformations, but through a steady accumulation of small wins, tiny acts of courage, daily habits that reinforce self-trust. When you commit to finishing the workout you promised yourself, when you speak up in a meeting even if your voice shakes, when you take a single step toward a dream that scares you, that is how confidence grows. Each act is a brick, and over time, those bricks become the foundation of a presence that cannot be faked. What ties all of these practices together is the refusal to abandon yourself in pursuit of external approval. Jung's insight is that when you live from your true self, your whole self, including your flaws, your strengths, your shadow, you tap into a power that feels both calm and unshakable. You stop performing and start inhabiting. That's why women who embody this kind of confidence don't always appear the loudest or most glamorous, but they carry a depth that draws people in. Their energy says, "I know who I am, I know what I stand for, and I don't need you to define me." And in a world obsessed with image, that authenticity becomes almost revolutionary. So, if you want to cultivate this same power, start small. Stop measuring your path against someone else's, learn the courage to say no when it matters, and keep building your confidence through daily acts of integrity. This is the lived expression of Jung's psychology, not abstract theory, but a way of walking through life with a steady flame that neither praise nor criticism can extinguish. In the end, confidence is not a mask we wear for the world, nor is it a performance we perfect to gain approval. It is a journey inward, a daily commitment to knowing ourselves and living in alignment with that truth. Carl Jung reminded us that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And that insight lies at the core of every woman who radiates authentic confidence. She does not pretend to be fearless, nor does she chase perfection. Instead, she embraces her whole self, including her shadow, and walks with a steady strength that comes from within. True confidence, then, is less about what the world sees and more about the peace and power you feel when you stop abandoning yourself. Jung believed that this alignment with the authentic self is where our deepest energy and presence come alive, and women who embody this secret understand it instinctively. So as we close, I want to leave you with a question. What do you feel your confidence is rooted in? Your knowledge of yourself, or the achievements you've collected along the way? Share your thoughts in the comments below because your perspective may inspire someone else's journey. And if this conversation resonates with you, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future insights. We're building a space here where authenticity and growth come first.